this is Ivan Gajel and you're watching Perfect A Fitness. And today we're going to talk about diamonds. Yes, you heard it, adamos, which means in Greek unbreakable. Those impeccable little pieces of material that are the most valuable and hardest, densest material in the entire world. And I'm going to tell you little something about a diamond. And come on, you know your basic grade school geology, but I'm going to give you a little update, alright? So, it's formed as a seed, which is formed into a plant, which is therefore formed, fallen under the ground, burnt, given fire, given pressure, until it geometrically changes its shape. The lattice and the atoms form together and bond stronger, and which is formed as a diamond. Now, why am I talking about diamonds? What does that have to do with anything that I'm talking about? Well, I believe that everything in nature is analogous towards our life, towards our condition, towards our story. And so I'm going to tell you right now, you're a diamond. What does that mean? Well, if you've lived life, if you've had experiences, if you've had situations, some good, some bad, but perhaps those bad situations have left you reeling. Perhaps they've made you feel like you can't go on. Perhaps they've made you lose hope in the world and in yourself and in other people. Perhaps those feelings have left you so unempowered that you don't want to go on anymore, that you don't have the grit and heart to go through it. And so, because of these feelings, and because I know it affects most people in the world, I'm going to give you 3 little lessons that I extrapolated from the story of the diamond. They are as follows. A diamond is formed from, as far as we know, a carbon source, which is generally made from a plant or a tree. Trees start off and plants start off as seeds. And I've got right here a little example of a seed. Check it out. Here's a seed, boom. Check it out, I just ate a diamond. What does that mean? That means small beginnings. Small beginnings are something that we should really appreciate, because every single thing in this life was started off small. First extrapolation from our diamond principle. And our seed grew up, which therefore leads us to become a tree or a plant, which was nurtured, given sunlight, given rays, but eventually something happened, something traumatic, which leads us to our second extrapolation, trauma. That thing, that particular incident in the life of that diamond, in the life of that plant or tree, made it to experience trauma. It was somehow buried under the ground for as long as time immemorial, and was fashioned with heat and with pressure. And that pressure was forming it, changing it, making the loose lattices strong, binding them together. And somehow, that plant or tree turned into carbon. When it was formed into carbon, the thing about it is that, have you ever seen a diamond as big as a tree? Well, it's because it's not made of the whole tree or the whole plant. It's a piece of it, which means that something was taken away from that entity, from that logical structure, from that structure that will never come back. Pieces were taken away that will never be replaced to make it into the thing that it is. It's a small microcosm of what it was, but it still maintains what it was. If you understand what I'm extrapolating from this, you could get how this applies to life. Because in those situations, in those incidents, things perhaps were taken from you. Identity, perhaps your dignity, perhaps your pride, perhaps your knowledge of self, perhaps your self-confidence. It was taken away from you. And it's never going to come back. That's the thing you need to understand about this principle. It's never going to come back. But what will happen is that what you have left you will hold on to. And holding on and understanding the principles of becoming more is taking the small, making it more powerful, forming it together into something that it never was, something new, something beautiful. And if you understand the structure of a diamond, the structure of a diamond is actually interesting in the world of minerals, because it's not a chemical reaction from other minerals being put together. It's in itself, a microcosm of itself. The carbon atoms didn't change or mix with any other atoms. They are themselves just compressed tightly and packed together and formed with heat. And if you understand that principle, then that leads us to extrapolate our third principle, and that is time. And if I could get $1 from everyone who didn't believe that with time wounds were healed, I would be a millionaire. But the fact is that that is the case, but it's only the case if you're working on it. If you're working on who you want to be. If you're working on attaining greatness. If you're working on working with where you came from towards where you want to go. And if you put all that into the plate, time will bring you to where you need to go. Because if there's anything in the world that I've ever learned, it's that the world is constantly going forward. And it's your decision whether you want to progress or stay in a certain level going forward, or whether you want that level to be going higher and higher and higher. That's something to remember. In saying that, I'm not extrapolating that you should take your time, that you should just wait on things to happen and just sit around and twiddle your thumbs. I mean putting real time into it. Putting that time that everything's gonna be better, alright, quote unquote, into what you want to be, into attaining your goals, into achieving your goals, into looking at your goals every single day, memorizing them, making them at the forefront of your mind, and deciding to make that decision that with time you're going to be better. With all those three extrapolations formed together, it therefore stands to reason as the proof that you are a diamond and that you're being formed. And the only way to look back on your past is that it was necessary. Is that every single thing that happened was necessary to form you. And if you look at it, I'm not just saying little anecdotal things that will make you sleep well at night. I'm saying the dog honest truth of the nature of this natural world, which is analogous to our lives and times and experiences, like I just said. Again, we don't want to look at it as something that's just a little bedtime story for us to go to sleep. This is the truth, and this is reality. Now, how do we formulate this into our lives? How do we then look back on those experiences and help it to form us? Well, the way that I'd like to do it is I'd like you to see, as I've done, you look back on your past and you say, I accept that you were part of my life. I accept that I was hiding deep in those caves, feeling the pressure, feeling the heat. I was there. I accept it. But the purpose is for those to say, I accept you, but I don't need you anymore. I don't need that in my life anymore because I am now a diamond. I'm changed. I don't need to go through the same thing because I'm going on to different things. And it's up to you to make that decision. But now, check this. You've put all those three things together, right? But check this. This is where it gets interesting. Because even if you've extrapolated all those things together, you need to remember something about the diamond. It has no use underground. It's buried underground and it's great. It probably looks pretty to no one that sees it. But the only way that that diamond will be seen and appreciated and cut and be beautiful is when it's taken from the ground with explosion, with force. And so if it takes that force and that explosion, if it takes that heartbreak, if it takes that situation, if it takes you getting your arm pulled up behind your back, that your shoulder dislocates, true story, then it's worth it. Even if it takes all that, you know that it's worth it. It takes an explosion. The other thing that you need to realize about a diamond is that even once it's out of the ground, it's beautiful and it's pretty, but it's still going to experience cutting. It's going to experience grinding. It's going to experience polishing to make it the beauty that it needs to be. But the fact is that the grinding and the cutting and the polishing defines the diamond, but it does not define who the diamond is. Because at heart, no matter what cutting and polishing and grinding that diamond receives, it is a diamond. It is essentially a diamond and will never be anything besides a diamond. Stay a diamond.